Welcome to the MOOC series of lectures on political science. We are discussing the development of the state system. We are discussing it in two parts. In our previous presentation, we discussed the development of the state from the tribal state to the Roman world empire. We have also discussed the Oriental Empire and the Greek city-state, which precedes the Roman world empire. Today, we will discuss the second part of the development of the state, that is, from the feudal state to the national state, and in between these two systems, we will discuss the Westphalian state system. So, the state, which is neither the creation of an individual or a group of individuals, nor it is the creation of God or any other temporal authority. Most of the modern political scientists, they agree with the viewpoint that the state is the result of a long evolution, and it has crossed different phases of its development, and new elements in each and every stage of its development were added with the characteristics of the state. The state, which was there in the tribal form, is totally different from the modern nation state, because constantly new elements have added with the characteristics of the state. So, today we will discuss the development of the state from the feudal state system to the Westphalian state to the modern nation state. And we have also seen that the state was a product of the interplay of several factors, including kingship, blood relation, war, property, technological development, everything. Naturally, the state has become a nation state after a long evolution, and today we will discuss its development from the feudal state to the modern nation state system. The feudal state emerged after the decline and fall of Roman Empire. Now, what was the nature of the state during Roman Empire? As we have already discussed, that Roman Empire was by nature different from the Greek city-state system. The Greek city-state system was small, and the political institutions were developed because in a Greek city-state, the citizens who took part in the political process, they got ample opportunity to develop the institutions of the state. But the Romans, they developed a large empire. Naturally, they were not satisfied with the small city-state system. The Romans, they expanded their territory to a large extent, and they established a vast empire within 3rd century BC. Naturally, the institutions of the city-state system were not adequate to develop a modern empire or to manage a modern empire. What the Romans did is that they developed some legal system. They developed a legal system, they developed a system of citizenship to incorporate different people from different regions which were captured by the Romans. Naturally, the Romans, they viewed the state from their own angle, which was different from the Greek city-state system. The territory of Rome was consolidated by the Romans, and they expanded their territory to different parts of the world. Ultimately, the Romans established a vast empire. Now, to manage a vast empire, the Romans developed some new systems. Ultimately, democratic system was abolished. Bureaucratic and despotic rule was established to control a vast empire. Naturally, in the Greek city-state, what we find is most of the Greek city-states were democratic in nature except Sparta or something like that. But the Romans ultimately established a huge empire, and to manage these empires, they established a despotic system. And despotic system was there to control this empire. Thus, to manage a vast empire, the Romans needed a powerful authority. The democratic system was not sufficient enough to control a vast empire. Naturally, they developed a new system. Basically, despotic rule was established and uniformity of law was brought about to control a vast empire. So, democracy was ultimately abolished and a new system was developed. Another point may be discussed here. The most important thing during Roman Empire was the development of a powerful church. The church became powerful during this period, and church and state, they jointly controlled the new system. Now, the unity which the principle of citizenship gave to early Roman became meaningless when the state became vast in nature. And when this large empire became weak, a new system developed, and the system was that the Roman Empire became weak and the small areas which were occupied by the Romans became more powerful. The regions, the small region, the small principalities, they became powerful, and ultimately a strong, powerful center became absent, and the regional authorities became more powerful, and the people, they showed their allegiance to the local authorities. When Roman Empire disintegrated, the local authorities became more powerful, and the first sign of a feudal state system was found in this new development. The new system which was developed after the decline of Roman Empire was a new system presented by the Teutonic barbarians. The Romans, they conquered everyone, but they failed to conquer the Teutonic barbarians, and ultimately they conquered a large part of Roman Empire and they established their new system. These Teutonic barbarians, they had their own system. They were basically tribes, and they did not have a single authority. Rather, different authorities were developed by the Teutonic barbarians, and the Roman system was totally changed to become a new system. Naturally, it was on the ruins of the Roman Empire, a new feudal society was developed. Now, what is feudalism? The feudal system has its own characteristics. The Romans established a vast empire which was controlled centrally by the emperor or a despotic ruler. The feudal system was different from this system. The feudal system is like this, that the emperor, he controls a large part and he distributes his land among his near and dear ones. That means local authorities are created in different parts of the empire. So there is a relationship between the emperor and the local authority. The emperor distributes land to the local nobles, and in return the local noble, they pay their allegiance to the emperor, they pay taxes, and they help the emperor during war. So there is a contractual relationship between the emperor and the local authority. This system was developed as a feudal system which was totally different from the previous unified Roman Empire. Feudalism is a form of society and government which prevailed in Europe from the second half of the 5th century up to the end of the 16th century. This long period may be called the era of feudalism. Now, what are the characteristics of feudalism? In a feudal system, the king is there, the emperor or the king. And under the king, the vassals are there. The king, he allots some pieces of land or an area to the vassals, and in return, the vassals pay allegiance to the emperor. And ultimately, the emperor declares himself as the representative of God. Again, these vassals, they can distribute their land among the small vassals. So different authorities are created at different level. Emperor or king is there, the vassal is there. Again, the vassal can distribute the land among the small vassals. All the relationships are contractual relationship. The duty of the vassal is to pay tax and allegiance to the emperor, and the emperor, he enjoyed sovereignty, sovereign power. So this was the system, a feudal system which was created after the fall of Roman Empire, and absolutely it was influenced by the Teutonic lifestyle. The essential characteristics of feudalism are as follows. The grant of land by a lot to a vassal, then the vassal may distribute the land among the nobles. Then another characteristic is that there is a system of contract. That means the local authorities, the vassals, they pay allegiance to the king or emperor, and the emperor will protect them from outside invasion. And the lord exercise the right of the full right of sovereignty over all the inhabitants. So this was the these were the major features of a feudal state system. The feudal state was not a state in the strict sense of the term. There was neither common citizenship, no common law, no common lifestyle, because the different parts of the empire they lived differently. Different legal systems developed, different political cultures developed. Naturally, the feudalism that gave rise to a nation-state system, it may be called the origin of nation-state system. This system ultimately transformed into nation-state system because the areas under different vassals, they for a long time lived jointly and they developed some of the common lifestyle, common political culture. Another important characteristic during this system is the power of the church. The church became more powerful, and sometimes the power of the church even the church was so powerful that even the king became subservient to the papal authority. Why these things happened? Because when Roman Empire disintegrated, there was large-scale fear among the people. Because when one empire disintegrates, the people become scared of everything. When the people become scared of the bloodshed, the war, they take shelter under the umbrella of religion. Roman Catholic Church gave the shelter to the people, and ultimately the church became powerful. Naturally, during the feudal period, the church became a powerful institution. Even there was a conflict between the church and the state. But initially, the church enjoyed more power than the political authority. Now, feudalism, they gave to the people of Europe some order, but a true national life could not grow on such a system. This type of system developed in the western part of Europe, that is, the feudal state system. In the eastern part of Europe, the Byzantine Empire still prevailed up to the development of Islamic rule. However, the feudal state system, it spread all over the Europe, and the new system, that is the Westphalian state system, developed from the ruins of this feudal state. The question is, why the Westphalian state system developed? The Westphalian state system is a result of the Treaty of Westphalia, which was signed in the year 1648. This Treaty of Westphalia, it marked the end of 30 years war in Europe and 80 years war in another part of Europe. So, the Treaty of Westphalia is an important event in the history of the development of the state. The 30 years war was fought between different groups of the Christians, particularly the Roman Catholics and the Protestants. And there was 80 years war. It was the Dutch War of Independence. It was a revolt of 17 provinces against the political and religious hegemony of Philip II of Spain. The Treaty of Westphalia, it marked the end of all these conflicts. Now, what was the result of the Treaty of Westphalia? The most important result of the Treaty of Westphalia was the development of a nation state in the modern sense of the term. Why nation state was developed? The answer can be given if we can discuss the causes of the 30 years war in Europe between the Roman Catholics and the Protestants. The war was fought between two groups of Christian religion for political supremacy. The Protestants, they wanted more and more power, and ultimately different areas of Europe which belonged to either Roman Catholics or Protestants. They were engaged in a devastating battle against each other, which started in the year 1618 and it continued up to 1648. Again, the 80 years of Dutch War, it was started in 1568 and it was also completed with the signing of the Treaty of Westphalia in 1648. The Treaty of Westphalia marked the beginning of a new system, and that's why it is considered to be the most important event in the history of the development of the state system. Now, what are the agreements which were signed in the Treaty of Westphalia? All the Christian groups, particularly the Protestants, they were allowed to practice their own faith. That means no one will interfere in the internal affairs of the others. That agreement was accepted by everyone. The exclusive sovereignty of each party, that means all groups with their own land will be treated as sovereign states, and no one will interfere in the internal affairs of the other states. That agreement and that condition was accepted by all the parties. A new system of political order in Europe it emerged, which based upon the concept of the coexistence of nation states. That means all the nation states will exist with each other and no one will do any harm to the other states. That condition was also accepted by all the parties, and the states will have their own rights to decide about their own fate. So, these are the conditions which are still practiced by the modern states, and all these conditions were accepted by all the parties in the Treaty of Westphalia. So, the equality of nation states, that is the sovereign equality of nation states, that was accepted in the Treaty of Westphalia. That's why this treaty that gave rise to a new state system, that is the Westphalian state system. So the Westphalian state system was based on some new principles: the principle of sovereignty, the principle of equality, the principle of territorial integrity, the equal rights and obligation of the state. All these principles were adopted in the treaty. So the Treaty of Westphalia that gave birth to a new system, that is the system of nation state, that all the nations will be allowed to have their own political units, that is the states. So idea of nation state, which is a popular idea even in this 21st century, that idea was first emerged after the Treaty of Westphalia. So modern nation state system is a product of the Treaty of Westphalia, and the Treaty of Westphalia that can be safely said as the most important event in the development of the state system. So the nation state system started its journey from the Treaty of Westphalia, that is 1648, and after that the development of the state is the development of the nation state in the strict sense of the term. How this development took place? The nation states, they are the basic units of society. The political units are the states. And the development of international society also took place when the nation-state system came into existence. Another important thing is that the modern nation states, they have developed certain characteristics. The rights of the individuals, the sovereignty of the state, all these modern ideas, they were developed after the establishment of the nation state after 1648. The nation states began their journey as absolute monarchies. The absolute monarchy was established in most of the nation states because when the papal authority lost its power, there was a political void, and this political void was filled up by the kingship. The monarchs, they became powerful in different nation states. Kingship or monarchy, that was the system of a state developed after the Treaty of Westphalia. But as we all know, that the monarchy as a system ultimately was challenged by the subjects, because with the development of the trade and commerce and the emergence of the bourgeois system, a new type of struggle developed. It was a struggle between the absolute monarchy and the subjects. And it was a struggle for political power. What we find in England from the very beginning of 17th century was the example of this struggle. We find in England a struggle between monarchy and the subjects for more and more political power. The people wanted more and more political power, and the kings, they were not ready to cede political power in the hands of the subjects. And ultimately, the monarchy was removed from their position, and the constitutional monarchy was established in England in 1688. It was the first sign of the establishment of a democratic system. The democratic system was established because the people wanted more power. This system happened after 100 years in France. In England, the transfer of power was rather peaceful, but in France, it was rather violent. In France, French Revolution took place and kingship was totally overthrown, and the democratic system was established in France in 1789. So, the development of nation-state system was started with monarchy, and ultimately from 18th, 17th and 18th century, democratic system appeared and democracy was established in large parts of Europe. Thus, since 18th century, there has been a slow transition from absolute monarchy to a constitutional monarchy and then to a democratic system. In the democratic system first established in England, after 100 years it was established in France, and then entire Europe, particularly Western Europe, came under democratic system. So democracy became a system accepted by the people of Europe. Another important development in the state system was the imperialistic nature of the European states. As we all know that from 16th century, modern capitalist development took place in large part of Europe, particularly in England, France, then in Germany, and then in different parts of Europe. A new force, a new group appeared as the most powerful group, the capitalist class or the bourgeois class, if we accept Marxian terminology. The states changed its position. The European powers, they became imperialistic in nature, and ultimately a large part of Asia and Africa came under the occupation of the West European countries. A large part of Asia came under the control of England. A large part of Africa came under the control of France. And in the 16th or 17th century, Latin American countries went under the control of Spain and Portugal. This may be called the era of imperialism. So, this imperialistic nature of modern nation states is another important characteristic of the development of the state system. So, the state which emerged, the modern nation state which emerged from the Treaty of Westphalia, it changed its position regularly. It started with monarchy. Ultimately, democratic system was established. But these democratic states of Europe, they established imperial colonies in large part of Asia and Africa and Latin America, which cannot be called a democratic one. However, this is a part of the development of the state, and ultimately, after the Second World War, the third world countries, they got their independence, and a new system, that is the sovereign equality of nation states, that was established after the Second World War. So presently we are living in an era where sovereign equality of the nation states are accepted by everyone. We have established the community of nation states, that is the United Nations, and previously after the First World War, the people of the world, they established the League of Nations. That exercise failed, but the establishment of UNO, that has become to some extent successful, because United Nations organization, it at least prevented the outbreak of Third World War. So these community of nation states, international organizations, these are a new development in the history of nation states, because the states, they can surrender some amount of their own sovereignty for the greater causes, for the establishment of a peaceful world. This is a new development in the history of the development of nation states. We have discussed the development of the state system in two parts. But one point can be added here. What is the nature of the state in this eastern region of the world, eastern part of the world? What we have discussed so far is the development of the state system in Europe. But what was the nature of the state in India or in other parts of Asia and Africa? Here also, there is no uniformity of the development of nation states. In Africa, what we find is the tribal nature of the state. Even in some parts of Africa, the states are in its primitive form. But what we find in India is the development of a nation state, which we find long before the establishment of modern civilization even in Europe. Before the birth of Christ, we had Hindu empires, the Maurya empires, we have Gupta empires. All these empires were the examples of nation states, though nation state not in the strict sense of the term, but these Hindu empires established a new type of state which was not even established in Europe. Naturally, when India was under British rule, at least for 200 years, 190 years, we retained our own characteristic, the characteristic of an ancient civilization which established modern political institutions, even during Kautilya. Naturally, this part of the world, it witnessed a development of the state which even the modern sense can imagine that we had our own state which was not undeveloped but developed in the true sense of the term. So when we discuss the nature of the state in Europe, we should also discuss the nature of the state in this part of the world, that is India. India also gave its own political ideas and institutions and state system to the world, and which is very, very modern in nature. Thank you.